Welcome to Coins News Daily. This tiny Roosevelt dime could be worth more than a new car, and most people spend it for 10 cents. Collectors are paying crazy money for this Roosevelt dime. Do you have one hiding in your pocket? Never ignore old dimes again. Some Roosevelt dimes are worth more than gold. Please subscribe, like, share, and comment. Thanks with love for watching. Top 1. Today we are talking about something that almost everyone has held in their hand, spent without thinking, or tossed into a jar, but very few people truly understand how powerful it can be. A small piece of American history that looks ordinary at first glance, yet under the right conditions becomes a serious treasure. If you love coins, if you love rare money, or if you've ever wondered whether pocket change could change your life, then listen very carefully until the end. The United States of America has produced billions of coins, but only a tiny fraction of them rise above the rest. Not because they are made of gold or silver alone, but because of mistakes, timing, survival, and history. And today, we are diving deep into two coins that collectors watch closely, the 1972 Mint Roosevelt Dime, and the legendary Lincoln Wheat Penny era that still fuels dreams for coin hunters across the country. Let's start with the Roosevelt Dime. Introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, this coin became a symbol of American resilience and progress. By 1972, the dime was no longer made of silver. It was a clad composition, something most people consider common and boring. But collectors know better. Because rarity is not always about age. It is about errors, conditions, and what should not exist but somehow does. The 1972 Roosevelt dime was struck at the Denver Mint, and millions were produced. Most of them are worth only face value. But hidden among those millions are coins with striking errors that make collectors stop breathing when they see them. We're talking about strong double dies where the date and lettering appear doubled under magnification. Off-center strikes that show the design shifted dramatically. Coins struck on the wrong planchet, thinner or lighter than normal, creating a mysterious feel in the hand. Some examples show weak strikes caused by worn dies, while others show dramatic die cracks that slice through the design like lightning. Frozen in metal, condition plays a massive role here. A normal circulated example is nothing special. But a pristine, uncirculated 1972 dime with full torch bands on the reverse changes everything. Full torch details mean the coin was struck with exceptional clarity, something surprisingly rare for that year and mint. Collectors chase these because they represent perfection in a mass-produced world. Now let's shift to something even more emotional for collectors, the Lincoln Wheat Penny. First released in 1909, the Wheat Penny is one of the most beloved coins in American history. Although wheat pennies were not produced in 1972, many people confuse later Lincoln cents with wheat pennies, and that confusion has actually helped rare coins hide in plain sight. The true wheat penny era ended in 1958, and coins from that period carry enormous collector demand. What makes wheat pennies so powerful is not just their age, but the unbelievable variety of errors and rare dates. Double dies where Lincoln's face appears to vibrate. Repunched mint marks that look like shadows under the letter. Off-metal strikes, wrong planchets, and transitional errors that were never supposed to leave the mint. Collectors especially hunt for cents that escape circulation in near-perfect condition. A wheat penny with full red color, sharp details, and no damage is exponentially rarer than one that looks worn. Survival rate matters. Millions were made, but almost all were used, damaged, or destroyed. The few that survived untouched are the ones that command serious attention. There's also the psychology of collecting that makes these coins so fascinating. Every coin tells a story. Who held it? Where did it travel? Did it pass through the hands of soldiers, factory workers, or children buying candy decades ago? When collectors buy a rare coin, they are buying history, mystery, and pride all at once. This is why errors are so valuable. Errors represent moments when the mint lost control for a split second. A human mistake, a mechanical failure, or a worn die created something unique. No two error coins are exactly the same, and that uniqueness drives demand. If you are searching through your coins, look closely. Use a magnifier. Check the date spacing, the lettering, the thickness, and the weight. Compare coins side by side. The smallest difference can be the biggest discovery. Many valuable coins are found by people who simply slowed down and paid attention. Now let's talk value, because this is where reality matters. No hype, no fantasy numbers. Only real market behavior and auction results. A normal circulated 1972 Roosevelt dime is worth face value. But an uncirculated example with full torch bands can sell for tens of dollars, and exceptional certified examples have sold for several $100s at auction. Error varieties such as strong double dies, wrong planchet strikes, or dramatic off-center examples have sold for hundreds, and in rare cases over $1,000 depending on severity and condition. Common wheat pennies are usually worth a few cents. But key date wheat pennies, especially in high grade or with major errors, regularly sell for hundreds to thousands of dollars. Rare double die wheat pennies and top-grade red examples have reached five-figure prices at major auctions, with the most legendary examples selling for tens of thousands of dollars. This is why coin collecting is not just a hobby. It is a hunt, a study, a passion, and sometimes a life-changing discovery hiding in plain sight. If you love coins, stay curious, because the next rare piece of American history might already be in your hands. Top 2. We are going to talk about one of the most misunderstood, most searched, and most talked about rare coins connected to the United States of America. This is a coin that has created confusion, excitement, rumors, and serious interest among collectors for decades. Some people believe it is impossible. Some believe it is a hidden treasure sitting in pocket change. And some collectors spend years searching for it with hope and patience. This video is not just about a coin. It is about history, mistakes, rarity, and how small details can turn everyday metal into something collectors dream about. So if you are a coin lover, a beginner collector, or someone who enjoys learning about valuable money, listen very carefully and stay till the end, because the most important part comes last. The Roosevelt dime is one of the most familiar coins in American history. Introduced in the mid-20th century to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, this dime has been produced in massive numbers. Millions upon millions were struck every single year. Because of that, most people believe Roosevelt dimes are common and boring. But experienced collectors know that rarity is not always about the coin itself. It is about the details, the mint mark, the metal, and especially the mistakes. Now let's talk about the year 1974. This year is important in American coinage because it was a time of major changes in minting technology, metal composition awareness, and quality control challenges. The Denver Mint, identified by the D Mint mark, was producing coins at a very high speed to meet public demand. When speed increases, errors become more likely. And errors are where value begins. At the same time, collectors often confuse two different legendary stories. One is the Roosevelt dime. The other is the famous wheat penny. Wheat pennies officially stopped production in the late 1950s, replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design. Because of that, any wheat penny dated after that era immediately raises eyebrows. This is where myths, misunderstandings, and real rare errors collide. Some collectors search for a 1974 dated coin that shows wheat penny characteristics. In normal production, such a coin should not exist. But history has proven again and again that wrong planchets, leftover blanks, experimental metals, and transitional errors do sometimes escape the mint. These are not things you find every day. These are once-in-a-generation mistakes. In rare cases, a coin can be struck on the wrong metal blank. This means a dime design could appear on a planchet meant for another denomination, or an older stock of metal could be accidentally used. When this happens, weight, color, sound, and edge details immediately stand out. These are the first clues advanced collectors look for. Another important error is the double die variety. This happens when the die used to strike the coin has a misalignment during the creation process. The result is doubling that can be seen on letters, numbers, or the portrait. On Roosevelt dimes, doubling on the date, the word liberty, or the motto is especially desirable. On any unexpected wheat-style cent design, Doubling would push the coin into legendary status. Off-metal strikes are another reason collectors pay serious attention. A coin struck on a bronze or copper planchet instead of the intended clad composition becomes an instant rarity. Weight testing is critical here. Serious collectors always use precise scales, magnification, and comparison with known authentic examples. Now let's talk about condition, because condition can make or break value. A rare error in poor condition is still valuable, but a rare error in uncirculated or mint state condition becomes a showpiece. Original luster, sharp details, and untouched surfaces dramatically increase collector demand. Professional grading is essential for coins like this, because authentication protects both buyer and seller. One of the reasons people are so fascinated by this topic is because rare coins like this blur the line between what is supposed to exist and what actually escaped into circulation. These coins tell stories of human error, mechanical imperfection, and historical transition. They remind us that even the most powerful institutions are not flawless. Collectors love these coins not just for money, but for the chase. The idea that something so rare could still be undiscovered creates excitement. That excitement keeps people checking rolls, estate collections, old jars, and inherited boxes. And sometimes, that patience pays off. Now here is the most important part of this entire video. Value. The value of any rare Roosevelt dime or unexpected wheat-style error coin depends on authentication, error type, condition, and collector demand at the time of sale. Ordinary examples are worth face value only. Confirmed rare errors, especially off-metal or transitional mistakes, have sold at auction for prices reaching from several $1,000s to tens of thousands of dollars. The most extreme and verified examples have achieved auction results equivalent to the price of a luxury car or even a small house, when described in words rather than numbers. If you believe you have found something unusual, never clean it. Never alter it. And never rush to sell it. Education and professional verification are the real keys to unlocking value. If you enjoyed this deep dive into American coin rarity, history, and hidden value, make sure to stay curious, keep learning, and always look twice at your change. Because sometimes, the smallest coin can hold the biggest surprise. And remember, collectors don't just collect coins. They collect stories. Top 3. We are diving deep into a coin story that many people overlook, many misunderstand, and almost nobody truly studies the right way. If you love rare coins, hidden errors, and the idea that everyday pocket change could still surprise you, then listen very carefully until the end, because what you're about to hear might completely change how you look at American coins forever. The United States of America has produced billions of coins, but only a tiny fraction of them carry true collector value. And sometimes, the most valuable pieces don't look special at first glance. Today's focus is on a misunderstood modern issue, the 1989 Roosevelt Dime, and the legendary appeal of wheat pennies that still dominate the hearts of coin collectors across the country. Let's start with the Roosevelt Dime. Introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, this coin has been part of American daily life for generations. By 1989, the dime was already considered a routine circulating coin. Millions were struck at the Philadelphia Mint with the P Mint mark. Most people assume that means it's automatically common and worthless. That assumption is exactly why valuable examples still slip through unnoticed. The truth is, rarity is not always about how many coins were made. It's about how many survived in a specific condition or with a specific error. The 1989 Roosevelt Dime becomes interesting when we look beyond the surface. Collectors search intensely for mint errors, striking anomalies, and transitional mistakes that occurred during high-speed production at the U.S. Mint. Some 1989 dimes show off-center strikes where part of the design is missing yet still readable. Others display dramatic die cracks, die chips, or cut errors where metal flows into broken areas of the die. There are examples with weak strikes, double details, and even rotated dies that create a noticeable misalignment between the front and back of the coin. These are not damage. These are mint-created errors, and collectors value them because they represent moments where the minting process went wrong in a way that cannot be repeated. Condition matters even more. A standard 1989 dime pulled from circulation is ordinary. But one preserved in pristine mint state with sharp torch lines, clean bands, and untouched luster becomes far more desirable. Full band examples, where the horizontal bands on the torch are fully separated, are especially important to advanced collectors. These details are small, but in the coin world, small details create big value. Now let's talk about wheat pennies, the most beloved 1-cent coins ever produced in the United States. Wheat pennies were minted from 1909 to 1958, and they symbolize a golden era of American coinage. The moment people hear the words wheat penny, attention immediately increases. Even non-collectors know they're special. Here's where things get interesting. While no official wheat pennies were minted in 1989, collectors are fascinated by rare mint errors, mule coins, and wrong design strikes involving Lincoln cents. Throughout history, there have been extraordinary errors where designs from different eras appear on unexpected planchets. These coins are legendary, highly scrutinized, and aggressively sought after by elite collectors. The idea of a modern dated coin carrying a historic design is irresistible to the collecting community. That's why any reported anomaly involving Lincoln cents, especially those that resemble wheat reverse characteristics, generates massive attention. Collectors carefully inspect every detail, from the reverse lettering to the rim shape, metal composition, and die alignment. Authentication is critical, because true mint errors are rare, while altered coins are common. Coin collecting is not just about money. It's about history, curiosity, and the thrill of discovery. Every error coin tells a story about a specific moment at the mint, when machines, dies, and metal collided imperfectly. That imperfection is what creates rarity. What makes these coins especially exciting is that they were never intended to be rare. They were meant to be ordinary. The fact that some escaped into circulation with mistakes is what makes collectors passionate. People still check their change today for this exact reason. If you're watching this and you love coins, take your time. Learn the details. Study the strike quality, the mint mark, the edges, and the surfaces. Use magnification. Compare examples. The difference between a common coin and a valuable one often comes down to knowledge. Now, let's talk about value, and only real value, based on actual market activity. A standard circulated 1989 P Roosevelt dime is generally worth its face value. A high-grade uncirculated example can be worth several dollars. Full band examples in top condition have sold for dozens of dollars. Verified mint error examples, depending on type and severity, have sold at auction for hundreds of dollars. Wheat pennies vary widely. Common circulated examples are worth a few cents. Scarcer dates, higher grades, and authenticated mint errors can range from tens of dollars to thousands of dollars at auction, depending on rarity and demand. Always remember, real value comes from authenticity, condition, and collector interest. If you enjoyed this deep dive into American coin rarity, stay curious, keep searching, and never underestimate the change in your pocket. Top 4. We are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and confusing corners of American coin collecting, a story that mixes real history, rare mint errors, collector obsession, and the dream of finding a life-changing coin in your pocket. If you love coins, if you search your change, or if you have ever wondered how an ordinary coin can turn into something extraordinary, then stay with me till the end, because this story is going to change the way you look at small change forever. The United States of America has produced billions of coins, but only a tiny fraction of them become legendary. Some are valuable because of mistakes, some because of history, and some because of mysteries that refuse to die. Today, we are talking about two names that ignite curiosity among collectors everywhere: the Roosevelt Dime with a 1999 D mint mark, and the mysterious, almost mythical 1999 D wheat penny coin. Let's start with the Roosevelt Dime, a coin that most people ignore. You've seen it 1,000 times. Small, silver-colored, easy to lose, easy to spend. The Roosevelt Dime was introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, and for decades it has been part of everyday American life. But the 1999 D. Roosevelt Dime holds special interest, not because it was meant to be rare, but because of what sometimes went wrong during production. In 1999, the Denver Mint was operating at high speed. Millions upon millions of dimes were struck to meet demand. When mints operate at this scale, errors can and do happen. Collectors pay close attention to these moments, because a small mistake can turn a common coin into something extraordinary. Some 1999 Roosevelt dimes have been discovered with off-center strikes, where the design is shifted and part of the coin is missing detail. Others show weak strikes, where Roosevelt's portrait or the lettering looks soft and incomplete. There are also examples with die cracks, die chips, and rim errors that make the coin look almost damaged, yet these are precisely the features that collectors love. These errors are frozen moments in time, proof that even the most advanced minting systems are not perfect, but here's where the excitement really builds. Some collectors report transitional errors, coins struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine a dime that weighs wrong, sounds wrong, and feels wrong in your hand. These are the coins that make experienced collectors stop, breathe slowly, and reach for their magnifying glass. Not every claim is real, of course, and the coin world is full of exaggeration, but genuine errors from this year do exist, and they are highly sought after. Now let's move to the coin that sparks heated debate, endless online searches, and wild rumors, the 1999 wheat penny. At first glance, this sounds impossible. Wheat pennies officially ended in 1958. From 1959 onward, the Lincoln Memorial design replaced the wheat ears. So how could a wheat penny exist with a 1999 date and a D mint mark? This is where collectors need to listen very carefully. There are three possibilities when such a coin appears. The first is alteration. Some people take a modern penny and modify it to resemble a wheat cent. These have no collector value. The second is fantasy pieces, privately made novelty coins that were never struck by the U.S. Mint. Again, no official value, but the third possibility, the one that fuels dreams, is a genuine mint error or mule coin, where a coin is struck using the wrong die. These types of errors are incredibly rare, but history proves they can happen. The U.S. Mint has accidentally produced coins that were never supposed to exist before, and when they are confirmed as authentic, they become legendary. If a real 1999 wheat penny were ever verified by a top grading service, it would instantly become one of the most important modern U.S. era coins. Collectors would study it, auction houses would fight to sell it, and museums would want it. This is why coin lovers obsess over every unusual penny they find. The key details collectors examine include the shape of the wheat ears, the font of the date, the mint mark position, and the metal composition. Even the tiniest inconsistency can reveal whether a coin is a miracle or a manipulation. This process is slow, intense, and thrilling, and it's exactly why people fall in love with coin collecting. What makes these stories so powerful is not just money. It's the hunt. The idea that history, error, and chance can collide in your hands. A coin you almost spent without thinking could be something special. That feeling is addictive. It keeps collectors searching rolls, digging through jars, and watching videos like this one all the way to the end. Now let's talk honestly about value, because this is where hype and reality often clash. A normal 1999 Roosevelt dime in circulated condition is worth only its face value. But confirmed error examples, depending on type, strength, and eye appeal, have sold for prices ranging from several tens of dollars to several hundreds of dollars, with exceptional auction examples reaching into the low thousands in extreme cases. As for the 1999 wheat penny, no confirmed authentic example has been officially recognized by major grading services as of now. Any genuine, authenticated piece, if it were ever discovered and verified, would likely command a price in the tens of thousands of dollars or more at auction, based on historical comparisons with other impossible date error coins. That is the real market truth. No exaggeration. No fantasy numbers. Just history, facts, and collector demand. Top 5. We are diving into a story that every coin lover, collector, and treasure hunter needs to hear from start to finish, because this is one of those videos where knowledge itself becomes value. Grab your coffee, sit back, and listen carefully, because the coin we are talking about today has confused many people, surprised even experienced collectors, and created some of the most interesting conversations in American coin collecting. In everyday change, coins pass through our hands without a second thought. We buy groceries, pay tolls, drop coins into jars, and move on. But sometimes, hidden in plain sight, there are coins that deserve a second look. Coins that look ordinary at first glance, yet carry stories of rarity, minting mistakes, collector demand, and misunderstood legends. Today's discussion centers around a Roosevelt dime dated 2004 with a P mint mark and the long-standing fascination people have with rare wheat pennies, especially when myths and reality collide. Let's start with the Roosevelt dime itself. Introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, this dime has been in circulation for decades. Most people assume modern dimes have no value beyond face value, and most of the time that is true. But coin collecting is not just about age. It is about condition, errors, minting anomalies, and demand. A 2004 Roosevelt dime from the Philadelphia Mint was produced in very large numbers, meaning ordinary examples are common. However, what transforms a common coin into a collectible treasure is not the date alone, but what went wrong or what went differently during the minting process. Collectors pay close attention to mint errors, because errors cannot be intentionally repeated. They are accidental moments frozen in metal. Some 2004 P. Roosevelt dimes have been discovered with off-center strikes, where the design is pushed noticeably toward one side, leaving part of the blank planchet visible. Others show double die characteristics, where letters or numbers appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment in the die creation process. There are also examples with clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing because the metal sheet was improperly cut before striking. Each of these errors tells a story of a split-second mistake at the mint that slipped through quality control and entered circulation. Now, let's address something very important that many people misunderstand. The phrase wheat penny refers to Lincoln cents minted between 1909 and 1958, featuring wheat stalks on the reverse. A coin dated 2004 cannot be a wheat penny, because by that time the wheat design had been replaced decades earlier. However, the reason wheat pennies come up so often in conversations about rare modern coins is because they represent the dream every collector has. The dream of finding something old, rare, and valuable in everyday change. This dream has caused many myths to spread online, mixing modern dates with classic designs. A true collector knows the difference, and that knowledge itself protects you from disappointment and scams. What connects the 2004 Roosevelt dime and rare wheat pennies is the idea of rarity through imperfection. Some of the most valuable wheat pennies are not valuable simply because they are old, but because they have errors, unusual metal compositions, or extremely low survival rates in high condition. The same principle applies to modern dimes. A pristine, perfectly struck example stored carefully can be desirable, but an error coin creates excitement. It creates uniqueness. And uniqueness is the heartbeat of collecting. Condition plays a massive role. A 2004 Roosevelt dime that has never circulated, showing full luster, sharp details, and no wear, is already more appealing than one that has been bouncing around pockets for years. Add a visible mint error, and suddenly collectors pay attention. Professional grading services exist for this reason. They authenticate coins, evaluate condition, and assign grades that the market trusts. Once a coin is certified, its desirability and liquidity increase dramatically. Collectors also love coins with clear, easy-to-see errors. Dramatic off-center strikes, strong doubling in the word liberty or in the date, and missing layers of metal known as lamination errors are especially attractive. These are the types of coins that make people stop scrolling, zoom in on photos, and watch videos like this all the way through. They spark curiosity and the thrill of the hunt. Another important factor is education. Coin lovers who understand what is truly rare know that not every unusual-looking coin is valuable. Damage caused after a coin leaves the mint, such as scratches, dents, or heat exposure, does not increase value. Real errors happen during production, not in someone's garage. Knowing this difference is what separates serious collectors from hopeful guessers. The market for collectible coins is driven by auctions, collector demand, and documented sales. Prices rise and fall based on interest, rarity, and condition. When a genuine 2004 P. Roosevelt dime with a strong, well-documented mint error appears at auction, it attracts attention because there are limited examples. Collectors compete, and competition drives value. This is why checking your change is still exciting. Not because every coin is valuable, but because the possibility exists. That possibility keeps collectors engaged, learning, and sharing knowledge. It is the same passion that made wheat pennies legendary and keeps modern era coins relevant. Now, as promised, let's talk about real-world value, not hype, not rumors, and not exaggerated claims. A normal circulated 2004 P Roosevelt dime is worth face value. An uncirculated example in excellent condition may be worth a few dollars. A genuine error coin from this year, depending on the type and severity of the error, has sold in the real market for amounts ranging from several dozen dollars to several $100s. At auction, exceptional and visually striking errors in high-grade condition have reached values of several $100s and, in rare cases, over $1,000 when collector demand is strong and documentation is clear. That is the true story. No fantasy, no shortcuts, just knowledge, patience, and the joy of collecting. If you are a coin lover, listen carefully, learn deeply, and enjoy every moment of the hunt, because sometimes the most valuable treasure is knowing exactly what you are holding in your hand. Top 6. We are diving into a story that every coin lover, every treasure hunter, and every curious mind needs to hear all the way to the end. This is not just about metal, dates, or mint marks. This is about hidden value, overlooked history, and the thrilling possibility that something small sitting quietly in a drawer or pocket could be worth far more than anyone ever imagined. So relax, focus, and listen very carefully, because this video is made for people who truly enjoy coins and the stories they carry. The United States of America has produced billions of coins, but only a tiny fraction of them rise above the rest. Some become legendary not because they were meant to be rare, but because something unexpected happened during the moment they were born at the mint. One such coin that continues to spark curiosity is the Roosevelt Dime, struck in 2005 with the P mint mark. On the surface, it looks ordinary. Franklin D. Roosevelt's familiar profile, the torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse, and the clean modern design we have all seen countless times. But collectors know better. They know that sometimes the most valuable coins hide behind the most common faces. The Philadelphia Mint, identified by the P mint mark, produced millions of dimes in 2005. Most of them entered circulation, used in everyday life, and slowly faded into the background. Yet among these coins, a very small number were struck with minting errors, unusual characteristics, or exceptional quality that pushed them into a completely different category. This is where the excitement begins. Error coins are the heartbeat of modern coin collecting. They are accidents, yes, but they are also unrepeatable moments frozen in metal. Some 2005 P Roosevelt dimes were struck with off-center designs, where part of the image appears shifted, leaving blank space on one side. Others show doubled dies, where the lettering or numbers appear double due to a misalignment in the die during striking. There are dimes with clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing because the metal strip was cut incorrectly before striking. And then there are those rare examples with broad strikes, where the coin was struck without the retaining collar, causing it to spread wider than normal. Each of these errors turns a simple 10-cent coin into a collector's prize. Condition also plays a powerful role. A 2005 P Roosevelt dime that survived without ever entering circulation, preserved in pristine mint state with sharp details and blazing luster, is far scarcer than most people realize. Collectors compete fiercely for top-graded examples because perfection in modern coinage is surprisingly difficult to find. Tiny marks, scratches, or dullness can separate an average coin from a standout specimen. Now let's talk about why this matters to collectors in a deeper way. Coin lovers are not just chasing money. They are chasing stories, rarity, and the thrill of discovery. Holding a rare error dime is like holding a secret that only a few people in the world understand. It represents a break in the system, a moment when human precision and machine perfection failed in a fascinating way. This is also where comparisons naturally arise with legendary coins of the past, like the Lincoln wheat penny. While wheat pennies were last produced in the 1950s, they remain icons of American numismatics. Collectors often mention them alongside modern-era coins because both represent hidden value. Wheat pennies taught generations of collectors to look closely at dates, mint marks, and tiny details. That same mindset now applies to modern coins like the Roosevelt Dime. The lesson is simple but powerful. Never assume a coin is worthless just because it looks common. The 2005 Roosevelt Dime sits at an interesting crossroads in American coin collecting. It is modern enough that many people overlook it, yet old enough that high-quality examples and dramatic errors are no longer easy to find. As time passes, coins like this quietly disappear into collections, never to return to circulation. That shrinking supply is what fuels long-term value and collector demand. Imagine searching through rolls of dimes, heart racing with every flip, knowing that one unusual strike could change everything. That feeling is why people fall in love with coin collecting. It is slow, patient, and deeply rewarding. And when you finally spot something different, something rare, it feels like discovering buried treasure in plain sight. For collectors watching this, pay attention to the details. Look closely at the date, the mint mark, the edges, and the strike quality. Use good lighting and magnification. Learn what normal looks like, so abnormal jumps out instantly. Coins like the 2005 Roosevelt Dime reward careful eyes and curious minds. As promised, we will only mention real market prices and auction values here at the very end, and only in words. A normal circulated 2005 Roosevelt Dime is worth face value. A high-grade uncirculated example can sell for several dollars. Certified top-grade examples have sold at auction for amounts reaching into the tens of dollars. Error examples such as strong off-center strikes, major double dies, or dramatic clipped planchets have sold in the real market for prices ranging from several $100s to several $1,000s depending on severity and condition. If you enjoyed this deep dive, stay curious, keep searching, and never stop looking twice at the coins you think you already know. Because sometimes, the smallest coins carry the biggest surprises.